This is not a drill. The revolution has begun. I'm Megan Mermaid, and this is your new moon in Aquarius energy update. This update will be relevant from January 29th through February 11th. Happy new moon in Aquarius and happy Lunar New Year and Chinese New Year. It is the year of the wood snake. When we think about the energy of this snake represents healing, it represents transformation, and it also represents the fierce feminine. This snake is connected to the DNA helix. It is connected to Kundalini energy at the base of our spine, and it is connected to the raw primal force of Shakti. Now, Shakti is what is necessary on the planet at this time, because as we enter this new epoch, as we are headed into the age of Aquarius through the precession of the equinoxes, this is something that we have been preparing for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It may feel as if things are falling apart, and they are. It may feel as though we need to be alarmed, and we do. It may feel as though the dark is taking over, and it is. But this will not last, because as we understand with the precession of the equinoxes, we are coming out of the darkness into the light and not vice versa. But that does not mean that we are not in our bodies. It does not mean that we shut our eyes to what is happening. This is the moment where we are asked to step fully into our human incarnation and ask, what is my role in the revolution? For me, I have a mixture of being a diplomat as well as a rebel. And so I understand that my role is to bring forth diplomacy, bring forth education, to step into a role of leadership. But what we also have to understand is that when we step into our role, Aquarius and this energy of the snake is asking for fierce love. So sometimes as you are called to speak up and to speak out, you may be judged, you may be persecuted, you may have fingers pointed at you, because let's get real. There are those that are awakened and those that have the veil still pulled over their eyes. For those that have not yet spiritually awakened to the battlefield, the spiritual war that we are fighting in this moment, it is easier to point the finger at you. It is easier to blame you. It is easier to call you crazy, a heretic, whatever it is, judgmental. It is easier to do that than it is to look within and say, oh my God, everything that I thought about reality, all of my beliefs are not true. So we have to hold this level of compassion and step up in our role of the revolution while also honoring where everyone else is. We are all going to go through so many stages and phases of what radicalizes us, okay? And so as all eyes in the galaxy right now, in the universe, are looking on planet Earth, specifically in this moment on the USA, which is the most controlled experiment on the planet. This is the time where all of our work, all of our training, all of our mastery comes into place, and we take our places and spaces and we watch it all fall apart. It has to. It has to, for new Earth to awaken. And so in this period that might feel cataclysmic, that might feel overwhelming, it's important to ask yourself, what is my role? There are 3 pillars of the revolution that I have received, 3 pillars of doctrine that will support us in these unprecedented times. Number 1, Defiant Joy. Number 2, Rebellious Service. And number 3, Creative Alchemy. Now, tomorrow, January 30th, I'm going to be doing a starseed journey with the Lyrans called Defiant Joy. And for those of you who are not familiar, the Lyrans are a star nation that are devoted to what is called the revolution of celebration. It is this very powerful energy of revolting through celebrating, through dancing, through singing, through storytelling, through bringing beauty and creativity and artistry into the darkest of places to alchemize this energy. Defiant joy means that no matter what, we will still keep singing, we will still keep dancing, we will still continue to rise up. And no matter how much they try to divide us, no matter how much they try to create an other for us to go after, we will continue to unify. We will continue to take care of each other. And we will continue to trust that divinity is stronger than whatever forces are on the planet at this time, that are in the very last moments of their epoch. And so in these very last moments, they are struggling. They are grasping for every form of control that they can take. And yes, peace is wonderful. Grace is wonderful. All of these things are wonderful. But we also have to recognize that divinity shows up in many ways. And we have to understand the astrological temperature, the astrological climate that we are in right now. And the energy of Aquarius is the rebel. It is the revolutionary. It's the energy of Jesus going into the temples and overturning the tables and calling out the Pharisees. It does not mean that we judge the person, but it means that we call out the lies. There are energies like the Morrigan and Kalima and Hecate and all of these dark feminine energies. Sekhmet is another one. It's the fierce, angry mother that says, no, I will not allow this on my planet, for my children, for my people. And so I want you to consider and use discernment in your heart and ask yourself if you are being complicit to what is happening by not speaking up. And it doesn't mean that you have to be protesting in the streets, but you have to sit and you can call on Ma'at. Ma'at is this beautiful energy, this ascended master of Egyptian lineage that asks us to hold the feather to our heart and weigh our heart against the feather. Ask Ma'at to guide you and to discern what is my part to play in the revolution. And yes, it is scary to take a risk and to do what you are being called to do, but you are just the person to do it. So that brings us to the second aspect of this, which is rebellious service. All of us have talents and skills and abilities, and we have a group of people or a cause, something that we care about. So rebellious service is rebelling by bringing in service, by bringing in devotion, by offering our seva, our generosity, whatever it is, to the marginalized, to the people that are calling to us. That is to help balance out all of the madness that is happening on this planet. And finally, we have creative alchemy. Creative alchemy is just that. We alchemize the pain and the struggle, okay? And we turn it into beauty, into artistry. So we're going to be talking a lot about these ideas tomorrow in our Starseed journey with the Lyrans Defiant Joy. There's going to be some very powerful activations and teachings. And if you can't make it, there is a replay that will be available. So I hope to see you there. It's only $22 for that investment. So let's talk about this new moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is the revolutionary. Aquarius is all about bringing in these humanitarian ideas. And I understand that for a lot of us that are very spiritual, it may feel very unfamiliar and very challenging to step into this role that feels like it is an umbrella of politics. But I want you to understand that it is not a political issue anymore. It is a human rights issue. And history has often repeated itself. And we have to start noticing the signs, okay? And part of the signs is separating people, victimizing people, all of the things that are happening at this time. absolute power corrupts absolutely. And in the US, what we are experiencing is fascism. We are experiencing a dismantling of democracy. We are experiencing what happens when a certain group of people step into power that are operated from a place of hatred. And so when we see that this is no longer just political, it's not about this party or that party, it is actually the dark energies, the dark agendas that have been on this planet for eons that are now operating through the puppetry of the US political figures. This is so much bigger than us. And that's why we need to call on the support of the Galactic Federation of Light. And we need to call on the support of our star families, call on the support of the star nations, because we need that higher multidimensional frequency energy to pour into the planet at this time. So maybe for you, it's about organizing, it's about advocating. Maybe it's just being of service to the people in your community. Maybe you are an educator or a diplomat like myself, and you are here to be a voice on your platform and courageously speak up about what is happening. Perhaps you are here to hold the frequency through your meditations and your visualizations and your prayers. I can't tell you what your role is, only you can. But I'm asking you in this new moon in Aquarius, as we step into the energy of the wood snake, the healer, the transformation, it is time to step into your role. The snake is all about taking on the poison and transmuting it, okay? So when we step into the energy of this snake, we have to understand what our relationship to power is like. Many of us have been fearful of our power. We have pushed our power away. But now in this moment, we have to call it back. And what will happen is when you start to work with snake energy, there's a lot of trial and error. It might be like, oh my gosh, I just bit someone out of my outrage. And rather than judging yourself, you have to look and see the snake doesn't bite because it is bad. The snake bites to set a boundary. The snake bites because it is sharing that you do not pass here. And what I learned from a talk with my therapist today is that oftentimes when we've been in this space of powerlessness, and we have been controlled to some degree or fearful or traumatized, and it's kept us from using our power, oftentimes we have to swing to the other side and be almost, I call it like our rabid dog or our angry snake, whatever you want to call it, that wants to overstate the boundaries. And we're going to have to really cultivate a personal relationship with power in the energy of the snake, because it's necessary to take on that power, but we don't always get it right the first time. So if you notice that you are outraged about what's happening, and maybe you say something and later you're like, oh man, that was an unkind thing to say. I will tell you, I have said a lot of unkind things in the past week. We have to look at that as data, as curiosity, and be like, okay, I was outraged in that moment. This is what I did. What can I learn from this? For me, I have to take a pause to not react in the moment when something shows itself to me. Another thing that has been really powerfully coming in is that we need to maintain our strength in every area. So that means physically, mentally, emotionally. We need to make sure that we're hydrated, that we're drinking enough water, that we're moving our bodies. I have started a vigorous training. In addition to the classes that I teach for strength training and dance, I'm also incorporating a regular practice of running, of yoga, of mantra, of meditation. We have to understand that we are the avatars in training. We are the ascended masters in training. And so we are to step up as the diplomats or the rebels, whatever our role is. We have to make sure that we are grounded, that we are strong, that we are in a space of self-mastery. And when we do react, we forgive ourselves. We do whatever needs to be done if we need to make amends. We learn from the experience, we take the data, and we move forward. Luckily, this new moon is trine to Jupiter. So this is a moment of luck. It is a moment where we can see expansion where there was not expansion before. It could mean that doors are opening, but what we have to really understand to take advantage of this trine, which can sometimes be very subtle, is that in order for us to receive blessings and good fortune and to call in these beautiful open doors, we have to be operating from a space of authenticity. And what Aquarius energy teaches us is that we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. If you're watching this and you're like, wow, I liked when you were talking about starseeds, but I'm not on board with this political stuff, that is okay. There are many different teachers. There are many different paths. And if you don't resonate with me anymore, that is okay. Sometimes we're meant to walk a certain part of a path with someone, a teacher, a guide, or a mentor, and then we go our separate ways because we have individualized training and learning and soul growth and evolution to take. But what I want you to understand is that Aquarius asks us to be okay with polarity, because authenticity requires us to be true to who we are, and for our thoughts, our feelings, our words, our vibration to all be in alignment, to all be in agreement with each other. And so if that means that you're ruffling a few feathers or you're no longer a match to certain people or experiences, that is okay. Because when you are authentically true to you, you are going to align with the right people and the right experiences for this moment, for this chapter. And it's also okay to grieve who you used to be, what used to excite you, what used to interest you. It's okay to grieve the relationships that feel like they are intersecting and now going into different pathways. It's okay to celebrate and grieve at the same time, but we have to understand that we came here as starseeds with a very specific mission for this moment. This is the moment. Yeah, it's kind of surreal, right? There's like a part of us that's like, is this real? Did we actually step into this timeline? Am I in the right place? Can I go back? I'd really like a beach on the Pleiades right now, or I'd like to be behind a computer in the Arcturian star nation, or I want to swim with the mermaids of Sirius. Like, I don't really want to be a voice right now. That feels a little bit scary. Know that we have angelic protection. We have galactic protection. And if you are being called to speak up in any way, shape, or form, you can trust your intuition that you wouldn't be guided to be an advocate or a voice for whatever is calling you in this moment if you are not going to be protected for it. But this is the moment where we have to call on that courage. We have to call on the self-mastery, and we have to be authentically who we are. And maybe you don't know who you are yet, and that's okay too. You will learn who you are based on where you're being guided to, what situations are activating you, radicalizing you. We all have different parts to play in this theater of what is happening. But the last thing that I wanted to speak about is this shock culture or rage bait. If you have heard either of these two terms, this is some of the energy that's being used by the dark energies or agendas to keep us in a space of shock or fear or worry, which subsequently makes us easier to control, to feed off of. So what I mean by that is we have to sit with our own level of what we are taking on as far as information from the external. So if you are in a space of, I can't take on anymore, I can't hear any more breaking news, like I literally feel like I'm falling apart, that's your cue to stop and to do some form of self-care. Remember that this social activism is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So there are going to be moments where you just have to rest. I did that yesterday. I literally just did nothing but watch my Netflix show, which is The Handmaid's Tale. By the way, it's very good if you haven't seen it. And I just let myself just be, because I knew in that dark moon portal, I needed that moment of nurturing myself, because it was going to require a lot of my energy and a lot of my mastery to step into this next lunar cycle and what is being asked of me as we step into this lunar cycle. So you have to make sure that you are listening to your heart. Some of us are very, very sensitive souls. We're very, very empathic. So this might be a time where you're starting to work on your energy shielding and your energy protection. And with that beautiful, sensitive soul, know that you don't have to listen and watch everything to be a part of the change. But we also have to make sure that in that discernment of where our body and our energy is capable of handling things, that we're also not taking the route of just, sticking our head in the sand and not looking at anything. It's all very subjective. And we have to just remember too, this is trial and error. This is an unprecedented time, and we're in this together. We're all learning together. Okay, so let's move right into the cards. From my deck, the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck, the first card that we have is Perfect Trust. The Mermaid Empowerment for Perfect Trust is I trust and know the universe has got me. So what we can understand from this card is this mermaid is jumping off of this cliff. There takes a supreme amount of trust to recognize that in this simulation that we're in, that feels so real and so scary, that there is the bigger picture at play. Okay, so we are all actors in this very dramatic play on planet Earth right now. But there is an aspect of us in the higher realms, in the galactic realms, that is helping through our higher selves to orchestrate our roles. So this trust is saying, trust that, like every good movie, in the moment of the movie, the climax where it's like, oh my God, how will we ever get out of this one? There is always and they lived happily ever after. This is all part of it. We can trust the laws of the universe. We can trust in the esoteric teachings that have been passed down from so many lineages and so many different places on the planet, so many epochs that are telling us we're moving into the light. But in order for the light to be awakened, there has to be this moment on Earth, this pressure cooker, where more and more people start to realize, oh my God, we are being boiled. So the trust is knowing no matter what, we will be okay. Echoes is coming up. So over the next 2 weeks, you may have people reappearing from your past, situations from your past. And you have to recognize that whatever is happening in this moment, that you are a different version of you. And so look at these situations and ask, okay, how did I handle this situation before? And how can I handle it now? Also remember that echoes means that it's not permanent, it's temporary. It's like an echo, right? It's like the remnant of something. So it feels, especially as we're still in Mars retrograde for most of February, that we're still wrapping up these loose ends before we move forward. And finally, we have the flow. Everything I need flows easily to me. What we need to know as we step into this lunar cycle is that the things that are the right fit for us will flow easily and effortlessly. And if it's not, then maybe it's a moment to pause or take a step back. So trust, echoes, and the flow. Let's move into the tarot. We have Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles is saying that this is a moment to master your craft, to really focus on the things that drive you. This could be work related. This could be finding a community of people. This could be figuring out where you can volunteer, where you can help. In addition to the political climate, there have been a lot of natural disasters, whether it's hurricanes or fires or things like this that may continue to happen. Maybe your role is to volunteer or to help organize. Just instead of being so weighed down by the fear of what's happening, the Three of Pentacles is saying, how can I help? Okay, how can I help? And if you are a spiritual teacher or you have some type of healing modality you're offering, this is the moment to master your craft, to put energy into your teachings, into your books, into your workshops. Keep doing that work because there are so many people that need it. especially as we start to see foundations and structures beginning to crumble. The more that you can become self-reliant, the better you're going to be. So mastering that craft and allowing yourself to have even multiple ways of working or multiple streams of income, that's only going to help you feel more supported. We also have the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands means that there's a lot of things happening, maybe a lot of opportunities. Maybe it feels like there's this energy of overwhelm sometimes, especially because in a Mars retrograde, often how I've experienced it is that there's so many things to do, but we don't necessarily have the energy that we usually do or the drive to do it. So this might also be being strategic, that you don't have to say yes to everything. And maybe part of your boundary and your self-care is learning how to say no to opportunities. Then we have the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is, again, very deeply connected to this business or professional aspect. So the Three of Wands is like waiting for the ships to come in. So again, I feel like there's this moment of like preparing ourselves and waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the right moment, maybe not just rushing into action. So let's pull from the Starseed deck to get a little bit more information about all of these themes. And we have Star Brothers, Taurus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, and trust. So this is a beautiful reminder that we are safe, that we are protected. You know, calling on the energy of Horus. Horus is deeply connected to the falcon. And when we think of the falcon, it's like having a higher perspective. So this is a reminder that we're safe, that we're protected, that we have the galactic energies here guiding us and supporting us. And you can call on their support. You can call on their protection. And we also have wait. It's not yet time. Things are being woven. So again, Aquarian energy can sometimes have this electric, very disruptive, surprise element. And so there can be some impulsivity in that. And that's why, again, it's very important to pause, to figure out what is your self-mastery practice so that you're not just rushing into action. You're not just saying that thing because you're outraged without really just pausing and asking, like, wow, something about this situation, this comment, this post is bringing something up in me. And maybe that's where that echo card is, because there are going to be opportunities of reaction. And maybe in the past you have reacted and you've sent that email or you sent that paragraph text, and later on you're like, I could have done that differently. And without judgment, we're being given this opportunity to wait and to pause and to remember that the next few weeks might not necessarily be a time of a lot of action. It's a time of preparation. It's a time of strategy, and it's a time of mastery. Empathic starseed, energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. I cannot stress this enough. You are not meant to carry the pain and the trauma and the suffering of the world within your body. Give it to the earth, cleanse it, clear it, do whatever your practices are, whether it's sage or Palo Santo or incense or calling on the pillar of light or the violet flame or the Syrian blue flame or whatever is your method. Make sure that you are really focusing on your energetic hygiene and your energetic protection. I'm going to pull a few more cards before we end for today. We have consultant expert. More information is needed. Contact someone with expertise in this area. It might mean that we are really going to be focusing on learning and recognizing that we definitely still need guides and mentors and people that have walked a few steps ahead. So that could be, you know, healing sessions, mentoring sessions, just learning from people that know a little bit more, not about everything, but about whatever topic or area of expertise that you would like to know more about. This is going to be really helpful. And then we have helpful person. I love that. Someone wants to help you. Think of whom they might be and initiate contact. If you're not sure, but this card, consultant expert and helpful people, maybe it's just setting the intention. Please guide me and lead me to the right people, the helpful people that can support me in understanding my role in the revolution. Just a simple intention that you can set for the new moon in addition to whatever intentions you have. And so we're going to end today on this relationship piece. And we have indecisive. I know my ability to make a decision hurts you, and I sabotaged our connection because it was too intense. I'm going to pull two more just to kind of get a little bit more information about this. We have ego. I let my pride get in the way of our connection, and I'm in love with you. So this next month might be a little bit tumultuous. It might be a little bit disruptive when it comes to relationship dynamics because ego is coming up, maybe because we're fearful or uncertain about what's happening in the world. Maybe it's causing us to feel indecisive, but there's also this deep love. And I feel like when we start to just give that love to ourselves and understand that when we step into our authentic self, it might mean that we're too intense for some people. And it doesn't mean that we're too intense. It just means that we have to acknowledge not everything is a match, even if it was a match before. So how can you continue to love yourself, even allowing the misalignments to occur so that you can realign with what is right for you? I love you so much. I love you so much. I am praying for your protection and your safety, and for you to recognize and follow the divinity within you and let that divinity lead you with courage and strength and prosperity and abundance as you step into your defiant joy, your rebellious service, and your creative alchemy. If you'd like to join us tomorrow for $22, you can be a part of that ceremony, Defiant Joy, a starseed journey with the Lyrans. You can also book a galactic channeled reading, a mystical mentorship session, or a free exploratory call if you'd like to learn more. I love you so much. I wish you a beautiful day. Happy new moon.